We call it people technology.
Well, simply unbelievable. What else do you say about that? We were all set for a script of how the Punjab Kings have clinically chased down a target of 186, and Kartik Tyagi has just tossed that out and made us reassess and restart this conversation. Rajasthan Royals have snatched, if there was ever an appropriate time to use this phrase, they've snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Punjab needed 10 of 15, they needed 8 of 12, and a Tyagi over towards the end, which has yielded just one run and taken 2 wickets, has given the Royals what looked like an unlikely 2 points for a large part of that innings. This is Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 timeout. Sanjay Manjrekar saw that astonishing game, so too did Dale Steyn. Let me see what they have to make of it. Let's go to Sanjay first up and get his first thoughts. Sanjay, please try and explain that.
Yeah, shocking. These are scenarios that we see this coming to a stage right at the end of the over, and we sort of start wondering whether they're going to lose this one, and it never quite happens. There's always a defeat looming in our minds, and eventually the batting team gets there. Four of the last over, or this kind of a struggle. This is one of those unique occasions when it actually didn't happen. And you might say Kartik Tyagi well bowled, but the 19th over as well, just 4 runs from Mustafizur Rahman. So that was, brilliant. So it tells you two things. One is if you can get as many as possible earlier, because they had just lost 2 wickets until Puran got out. So crazy stuff, something that you expect will happen, never happened, but today did.
Well, if I go back to 2014 in that T20 World Cup, I remember Dale Steyn doing something similar. But I don't know if he can therefore say, yeah, bowlers just pull this out once in a while. It happens, don't they, Dale?
It was that was amazing. That was just brilliant. And some great bowling, but team batting just when they were some balls they couldn't get them away. Markram got given a couple full tosses there that he couldn't pierce the inner ring. And a little bit of strange luck. He nicked one off the fizz. Sanjay had a dive and a great stop at short third man, and you just build up this little bit of pressure, and then with a little bit of good bowling like that, it's just amazing what happens. Pressure is an amazing thing. A score that they should have gotten, without a doubt in my mind, should have gotten, and yet they just somehow duffed it. I have no other words to explain that. But Tiagi's last over was brilliant. If you asked him to bowl it over again, he probably wouldn't be able to replicate that. He was amazing in that particular over, though.
What does it take to bowl that line of attack in the final over when you've got literally nothing to play with, Dale? A number of those balls could have easily been called wide. You're also the risk of one Nick going for 4. Just take me through whether that's just a call that a bowler takes. Right, this is going to be my line of attack, because it proved so smart at the end.
Yeah, I think also the build-up of pressure. I think he could have probably bowled any kind of ball. But those Yorkers were just impossible to hit. He just bowled them. They were just beautiful. Couple nicks that went straight to the keeper. On another day, it goes a meter wider and it's a boundary. It's just his day. The stars aligned for him tonight, and it was just perfect. But pressure is the big thing. When you need to score 8 of 12 or 10 of 15, you should knock that over. I know Sehwag is the kind of guy that he never blocked his way to 100. When he was on 90, it would go 400-600. He didn't waste any time. Herschel Gibbs was another guy who, when he gets to these opportunities to close out a game, he didn't wait till the last ball. He got it done. And tonight there was just that little bit of pressure that crept in, and you could see all of a sudden the full toss, they couldn't get it away. A wide ball, like you should be getting a lot of bat onto that, and that's what pressure does to you in these situations.
Sanjay, do you feel like that partnership with Markram and Puran was guilty at all towards the end?
See, when you look at the number of balls faced by those two guys and the strike rate at which they played, it's hard to, put the blame on them. So it was a defeat that I'm coming to terms with, because really, Punjab King deserved to win that. Quick thought on umpiring as well. I thought the umpiring wasn't very good. That I know the batter moved to his right, Deepak Hooda, to play that line, but it was still out of his reach. So just to use that logic of the batter moving outside the awesome and denying him that wide was a big call at that time. I thought it was a little unfair on Punjab Kings. Also, I'm looking, Ronak, at the 18th over when it started. After that six of the first ball, all you're seeing from Punjab Kings with two batters set, and it's a point Dale made as well, is 1-1.11, and then you're going .1111, and again you're going dot one. So it was a case of two set batters thinking, nothing's left now. Let us just take the ones and, and eventually get there, stay not out and win the game. It's a little unfortunate that the result came, and it's a harsh lesson that if you can do it earlier, like Mumbai Indians tend to do, they just go hard all the time. Might as well do it, because at that time when Puran was at the crease, they had 8 wickets in hand.
Let's get Dale from a bowler's perspective. Tell me a bit about whether he thinks those wide calls were fair, were they marginal, and Punjab were, or rather Rajasthan were lucky to have them go their way. Let's speak of specifically the one to Deepak Hooda first up, where Michael Goff and elite panel umpires decided that's all right. The batsman moves, so the wide lines moved with him. Was that a fair call, Dale?
I mean, it boils down to the umpire. I've seen balls not as wide as that being called. Really depends on who the umpire is. I like the idea that if the batter does move, you can bowl it a little bit wider. The wide line doesn't move, unfortunately. It's actually it's painted in there, for a reason, as is the leg stump, So it's a tough one, but I'm going with the bowler. I don't think bowlers get a lot these days, so I'm going to say that it was well bowled. He saw the batter move across, and he's gone with it. And then it's on to the umpire to make the call whether he felt it was out of reach for the batsman, and he probably thought it was within reach, and therefore didn't call it.
There's also a slow full toss.
My
yes, Sanjay.
observation is not so much about the guideline, where it was clearly to the left of the guideline, wide of the guideline. So theoretically, it is a wide, but because the batter had moved, the umpire was right to look at it very closely. But if you look at the shot that Hooda has attempted to play there, it's not like he's reached out and the ball has gone under his bat. It's actually been wider when he's reached out to play that. So Dale is obviously right about the way he's thinking. But I felt, if I was the umpire, I would have still given that as a wide, and that would have completely changed the scenario. But that is one of the many moments, that in the end we saw that kind of a result.
Sanjay, from a batter's point of view, though, was that sort of bowling, which we discussed at the mid-innings show as well, full bowling from fast bowlers, which was hard to get away. It seemed like it was even hard to get bat on. Was that just exceptional from Kartik Tyagi? Would you have been, would you have, as a batter, would have wanted them to do anything different, just get bat on ball?
I'm not convinced. I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced that it was a great Kartik Tyagi over that won them the game. It started, as I said, in the 18th over, when a six after Puran hit a six. They saw, the game was in their grasp, and all that was happening after that was, ones and dot balls and one. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually, and eventually, 99 times out of 100, you get there. So it sort of progressively, the hole started getting, dug in the 18th over. And, people are forgetting the 19th over from Mustafizur. He conceded 4. And the reason for that also was, Mustafizur is a seasoned bowler. Let's wait for Kartik Tyagi's last over and we'll get there. But a very harsh lesson learned for Punjab Kings, that if you can do it right now, better get that job done right now if you have wickets in hand.
Is that a sentiment you share, Dale, that this was more about Punjab cocking it up rather than, an exceptional bit of bowling by Tyagi, who's given away just 1, or Mustafizur, who between them have given 5 in the last 2?
Absolutely. I think that Punjab just took their foot off the pedal there. They should have won it. They should have won it earlier. And Tyaghi's run in and he's bowled a good over. Don't get me wrong. I've seen perfect Yorkers go for 4. But this is, again, it was just a pressure. They couldn't now get bat on ball. When they wanted to now play the shot, it wasn't going for them. A little bit of bad luck. There's a wide that should have been called wide. It's now not wided. Aiden Markram nicks one. Keeper's dropped it, but short third man's made a miraculous save. That could have gone for 4. All of a sudden, these little things just keep building. And like I said, you don't have to bowl the perfect last over. The batters have already kind of dug themselves into this little bit of a hole through pressure. And any ball that is a dot ball all of a sudden looks like it's a magic delivery. So a good over, well executed. Those Yorkers are still extremely difficult to bowl. That last ball that he bowled to Fabian Allen is a perfect Yorker. So, some credit needs to go to him because he did bowl a good over. But the pressure was built by the batsmen. From the previous over, they just kind of got themselves into a pickle. And then all of a sudden, they just couldn't get out of it. It was crazy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. How can you make sense of it? I'd still like to perhaps talk a little bit about Mayank Agarwal at the top of the order and KL Rahul. We also, Sanjay, saw shades of the best of Nicholas Puran, but it all seems so moot on a day where they've not got the job done.
See, it also tells you that 180, once you get that kind of a score, this result is possible. If it was 150, 160, and the kind of mood that Puran and these guys were, I mean, Rahul and Mayank Agarwal, again, consistent, brilliant at the top. Markram also was impressive. Puran has played the best innings of this IPL, his best innings of this IPL. And because it's 180, they're sort of almost getting there, and it's all come down to the last over. But as I said, it's that whole thing, the preparation of the disaster started in that 18th over. After that six, it was just one dot, 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 one. And I think that is where they lost the game. It was unfortunate because it never happens in T20 cricket as well, but it happened tonight. But a game to remember. Brilliant.
Yeah. Punjab tend to throw these to us, don't they? They give us these games to remember. The Rajasthan Punjab fixture in particular gave us the Tewatia special last time and continues to turn out these ridiculous games. Is it fair to say, Dale, that the better team over the course of the 40 overs won, or perhaps did not win today, or is that meaningless in T20 cricket?
I think, actually, to be honest with you, I think the better team lost tonight. I know that sounds crazy, but I think they played the better cricket for, what is it, for almost 20 overs. Plus 18 over 38 overs. I think they did play the better cricket. Yeah, and it was just those two crazy overs where things went pear-shaped for them. Rajasthan had a heap of drop catches. Chris Morris had a bit of a stinker tonight. I mean, that happens when you haven't played some cricket for a while. And they just didn't seem the team that you think they would be. But yeah, these kind of games happen, and it tells you that the score is a gettable score, and it requires something magical like that last over to defend a score like this. But 180 is certainly a score that is gettable in Dubai.
So, would you go with that, Sanjay? Better team lost today?
Yes, because I'm all for cricketing logic to prevail. Dale, I don't know, you haven't worked with me long enough, but if the cricketing logic goes out of the window, I get a little perturbed and frustrated by that. I mean, the team selection of Rajasthan wasn't great. I'm not saying Punjab Kings with their bowling attack made a great selection. You can see how they were struggling with the use of spinners. I mean, they bowled Mahipal, Lomro, one over, and they're just trying to get some spin and variation. They should have played Shamsi, but in the end, they managed to win, and I'm not convinced whether Kartik Tyagi is the hero. It's a combination of Mustafizur or Kartik Tyagi, but it is more about T20 giving you all these kind of lessons to learn that if you can get it in the 18, if you have the ability, if you've got the wickets in hand, get that job done, then don't wait till the last. I mean, there have been millions of games, right, that we've seen where this kind of chase has happened, and you go into the final over and there's 4 runs to get, and you start thinking, oh, are they going to mess it up? It never happens. Happened tonight.
Yeah, well, will it come back to bite Punjab in what looks like a tight race to either third place or fourth place? You think teams like Chennai, Delhi are in better form. Mumbai can never be ruled out. These sort of points could really hit them hard. But Dale Steyn, Sanjay Manjrekar, thank you very much. We've got the first nail biter. It became a nail biter suddenly in the 19.2 or 19.3 pace. Otherwise, it was going to be a straightforward chase. But we'll have the two of you tomorrow for what should be another promising game too.
And Ronak, and let the headline be Dale Steyn's quote is the best one. I think we've never heard it before. The better team lost today. I think it's really the moral of the whole story of the game. The better team lost.
Yeah. I mean, pick your headline from today, but it was crazy. It was madness. So thank you very much to Messrs. Steyn and Manjrekar. We will be back with them tomorrow on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. 2 points for Rajasthan eventually on the night.
We call it people technology.